What's up, friends? Welcome back to Woke.Ones.Revolution. Again, I'm Heather. Happy to see ya or not see ya. Regardless, I'm here, glad you're here. I was having a problem with my camera, so I thought I'd put this cool picture up here that very much reflects, I think, what a lot of us are feeling right now as far as what's going on in the world, in our heads. Um, it's just been bam, 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 one right after another, right? Eh, January was such a long month. Many of us were dealing with fires, many of us were dealing with blizzards and ice and, dealing with cabin fever and nonstop news flash after news flash after breaking news after disaster after one thing after another. And yeah, I thought I created this picture with AI with the description of a Sabian symbol I wanted to talk on today. So yeah, I hope you guys are faring well. I know things have been hectic as all get out, and I sincerely hope and pray that every single one of you are finding some solace and being able to harness back some of that nonstop busy that's going on in our heads, and all the stuff that's being projected at us, and being able to find a little bit of peace in all this crazy busyness. I wanted to jump on here today to talk to you a little bit about the transits of today. Today, we are having Jupiter is stationing direct at 11 degrees Gemini. And we also have Venus, which has been going through a long, dreamy transit in Pisces, now putting on her red high heels and her lipstick and jumping on into Aries with a passion that will catch you off guard. So, um, yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it. And if I need to double back on anything, I will definitely do so. But I. I thought this was a perfect picture for the Sabian symbol for 12 Gemini, um, which is where Jupiter is stationing direct. It's the 12th degree of Gemini. Um, so it's basically casting off the slave mentality. Um, 12 Gemini is interpreted by Dane Rujar as a Negro girl fights for her independence in the city, which embodies an impudent defiance against systematic oppression. Seems rather fitting, right? Well, and that's whether it's social, cultural, or psychological. It reminds us that freedom is not just about external circumstances, but also the mental and emotional chains that we have to cast off in order to step into our true sovereignty. This translation is like the inextinguishable freedom of our minds. Now, in a way, 12-degree Gemini in that aspect speaks to rebellion against tyranny, the unyielding pursuit of freedom and breaking of the conditioned thought patterns that we have. Pretty deep, right? And well, Jupiter's the planet of expansion. It's the biggest one there is. It's all about wisdom, higher learning, justice. And it's been retrograde since early September, prompting deep reflection on the beliefs that actually shape our reality. As it stations direct in this highly charged degree of Gemini, there's a renewed push for liberation personally and collectively. Old systems, outdated ideologies, toxic mental conditioning are all being challenged, confronted, and dismantled. And we're watching it happen right in front of our eyes. All you got to do is just turn on the TV and you see it, and or any social media site. That's very Gemini, but and it's a turning point in the revolutionary momentum that we've been feeling. And it's a moment where suppressed voices are going to come out. They're going to rise. And that have been historically silenced are going to demand that recognition and respect that they deserve. You know, look at all of the protests and demonstrations that we're seeing start. You know, breaking free from the enslavement of the mind is so important during these times. Know when to pause the program, step away for a minute. That's a great way to seek some peace within. This 12-degree Gemini degree of Jupiter highlights how mental programming and societal expectations keep us in those invisible chains. The slave girl and the symbol may have little power on paper, but her spirit remains unbroken. Even in the face of oppression, she asserts herself boldly, defiantly, and, you know, without apology, showing that the human soul refuses to be tamed. I put this song in my story today on Instagram when I was talking about Aries Venus moving into Aries. As I read that last bit to you about, the human soul refusing to be tamed, it's like, you don't own me. You know that song from back in the day? Yeah, I it's loud. Expect things to get loud with Jupiter stationing direct. It's going to magnify the urgency of wanting to break free from those ingrained patterns, in our both in our personal lives and in collective consciousness. It mirrors the current global uprisings, movements for justice, and ongoing battle between the old and the new, between those who seek control and those who demand liberation. Now, adding a little spice to the mix, I'll double back on Venus. So, Venus just getting into Aries, it's going to embolden that energy, making it even hotter, bolder, more passionate, more driven. And, Venus and Aries is pretty hot. It's going to come out in a way that that's pretty hard not to look at, right? Venus in Aries doesn't hesitate at all. She wants what she wants and she's going to go after it fiercely. This fuels rebellion, independence, and the courage to fight for what we desire, whether it be personal freedoms, love, or in social justice causes. It emboldens and embodies the archetype or even literal activists, disruptors, and the pioneers, adding fire to the movements that we refuse to back down from. You know, um, we're witnessing a global shift in consciousness where old power structures are being confronted like never before. I'm almost dumbfounded at how quickly this is happening. You know, it aligns perfectly with the unfolding of the revolutionary energy, where people are realizing that they no longer need to accept this oppression, injustice, or limiting belief systems. People are speaking out. You know, we've worked on moving forward all this time to help release all these outdated, toxic, egotistical ideals of what being a human is. Doesn't matter what your race, your religion, your sexual preference, your sexual identity, where you're from, what you like. None of it is anything that somebody should be marginalized for. and to see things go backwards. It's very disheartening. And I would just say, for those of you that are down, filling out, feeling lost, feeling like you don't want to go on, feeling like you have no clue how to rise above this. It's actions are great. Yes, there are methods that can be used to help get you through this, but only you know what's best for you. And I would just say, try not to get yourself so worked up that you make yourself sick. Um, you know, the whole the Gemini thing, the whole Sag Gemini axis. I saw people screaming. You can't scream at somebody that doesn't want to hear what you have to say. They're not going to listen to you. So it's find power. You could find your power with practicing the pause and grouping up with other people that have the same beliefs that you have. Now be careful in that too, because with Jupiter, things in the Gemini Sag axis, things can be overblown. And What you just think of, I just saw like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum, and you think about, when they you're holding their hand saying, "Come on, let's go," and they don't want to go because they want to stay and play with that toy, and then they do that ass to the floor bottom drop as you're holding their hand, and they're pouting. They're like, "Nope, I'm not moving." That's really not going to make mom or dad change their mind on whether you're coming or not, right? You can throw a temper tantrum, but I mean, ultimately, the more poise you have, the more logic you use, the more restraint you have in the energy that you're exuding out just to try to get somebody to hear your point of view, is important right now. Pay very careful to how you're using your energy. Otherwise, you can be burned out super fast, super fast. Jupiter, although it's the giant benefic, it's also where we can overindulge. It's definitely something that we need to keep ourselves in check about, as we're going through this global shift, right? Mm, but you're going to see it. You're going to see these marginalized groups and oppressed communities continue to assert their high rights and push back against the systematic control. It's from everything from like political protests to workers' strikes, um, and movements advocating for gender and racial equality, and a demand for autonomy in general. It's reaching its fire fever pitch. It's insane how, gosh, I just got thrown back to Christmas time. December. Look at what's changed from December to now, how much is so much right in our face. It's like it's like an overkill of, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I'm getting shown like scene after breaking news, after thing happening, after he said what? The president just said what? Like people in shock. It's a shock and awe movement. All of it is. So I need you guys to understand that there is a strategic, it's not just the media. It's not just the media. The media is owned by other people, but it is, the people that are pushing that out. That's a strategic move that people use in war. Okay. You've heard the term shock and awe, right? Well, that's what's happening. It's all smoke and mirrors, shock and awe to get people to react or be so mentally enslaved that they break and submit to what somebody else wants, you know? So please just, calm your horses. I just heard calm your tits. That's me. Whatever. Don't be offended. It's just something me and my girls tell each other every now and then when we start to get a little stressed out, It's just calm 'em, calm 'em. Don't need to be wild all the time, anyways. But anyways, back to the subject at hand. Individually, I think a lot of people are rejecting their old paradigms, questioning limiting belief systems, and stepping into their own authority. And whether this means leaving a toxic relationship, quitting a dead end job, or breaking free from, family expectations, people are choosing self sovereignty over comfort right now, you know? Um, now, this fight for freedom of speech, uncensored information, and digital sovereignty, it's intensifying as AI surveillance and the mass media manipulation attempt to control our narratives. The more people are going to be challenging the mainstream narratives and reclaiming their own truths. And I find that to be one of the most beautiful parts of this Jupiter stationing direct and this time that we're moving into with Pluto now fully into 2 degrees of Aquarius now. Um, I think people are starting to realize that, our fates aren't necessarily written. We get the freedom of choice in what we allow in our sphere and what we don't. Our sphere being our temple, our body, our mind, our conscious. Now, I think it's great that people are realizing, hey, look, these news why is this news channel telling this story? This one's not telling this story. They're both over elaborating. And the government official that just did the live broadcast is saying that neither one of them is telling you the truth, that this is the real truth. It's a bit of a reality break, people are shifting their perspectives uh, once they're actually, viewing and actually seeing it for their own eyes. Eh, they're looking at it from an outsider view, being okay. Well, so what I thought was the truth all along really wasn't. And I got to throw in another thing is, more than ever, people are waking up to the illusion of control, whether it's governments, your corporation, or what society expects from you. The spiritual impudence is the degree of life in every person who dares to question reality and create their own path. It is fully alive. It's on fire right now. And with Jupiter stationing direct, yes, Mars technically is still retrograde. Is it? No, I don't even know where I'm going with that. Excuse me. But no, what I was going to say is Venus is going to be going retrograde. We're in a very interesting period where the outer planets are turning direct and giving us a little bit of a little less of the tug of war and being able to move forward in what we want now. This shift in Jupiter is a call to action. As Jupiter moves forward, expect swift shifts in consciousness and in real world events that force people to actually have to make a choice to either stay complacent in the familiar or take a leap of faith towards true independence. The slave mentality, it must be cast off if we're to experience authentic freedom. Now, you know, um, what's the key takeaway in all of this? It can be done, but only if you dare. Challenge yourself. You are good enough. You know, it's the rose-colored glasses, the mask. More, I'll reiterate that the masks are off. We're seeing reality for what it is, and although there's a Neptune is still in Pisces, and so is Saturn, but we also have the North Node there. And although we can't help but have our own, that's the word I'm looking for. We can't help but have our own ideal of the way things are. Um, but with the seriousness of everything that's going on and Jupiter stationing direct, things are going to be so big and apparent and in our face that we can't just fluff it off as a Neptunian or Piscean concept. um, I think this is a time with the North Node being in Pisces and the South Node being in Virgo, that the fast movement of the way that everything's going is basically helping us move out of that South Node Virgoan need to overanalyze, over prepare, yeah, all that, over stress, get anxious about. We don't have time for that shit. Okay. Pisces is Pisces is the oneness of the collective. It is compassion, collective compassion. It is oneness. It is the concept of um, it's so Aquarian in a way, and I love that they meld next to each other. But it's like the whole logic of give a man a fish, he can feed a village. Or, I didn't say that right. You know what I'm saying, basically. Give a man a fish, isn't going to do as much as if you teach him how to fish. And then, he can get enough fish to feed a whole village. There we go. Yay. Oh, Jupiter just went and sat right on my brain and just smashed it for a moment. Sorry there. but but yeah, it's imperative that we don't get ourselves sick with worry. Virgo is so good at doing that. Um, the overstimulation. I mean, Mercury rules Virgo. Okay, Gemini is also ruled by Mercury, and that's where Jupiter's at. It's all about our mind, our thought processes, our communication. It is about movement, travel, information, technology, all of the things that we that consume our lives. It's electronics. It's you know it's it's fast, very fast, swift movement, and it isn't always pretty. Mercury is the one that can do the work for the gods up in the heavens, but he can also go down in the underworld and retrieve all that information too and bring it back. He is the one that gets to do that. And we are the ones who get to, you know, uh, put a little bit of a WD-40 on that squeaky wheel in our heads and, choose whether we want to look at the light or if we want to look at the dark or if we want to look at both of them, step back, and rather than get emotional, trust our intuition, lean away from the anxieties of Virgo and needing to know all of the details, step outside of that and take a holistic perspective, um, a holistic view, you know. get a different perspective. Look in, um, from a distance. Don't get yourself too caught up, um, but but allow yourself to not get caught in that Neptunian delusional side, or dream Neptune dream world, Pisces dream world. Look at the situation both for its light and for its dark, for its good and for its bad, and have grace, have compassion. It's not time to stand around and sit idle. It is very much a time that this inextinguishable freedoms of our mind are going to drive us to self, mm, to basically make sure that we are individuals within the collective, if that makes sense. It's very important that we are taking care of those we love and ourselves, and doing it not just not out of a place of fear or worry, but out of faith, out of um, compassion, out of Venus and Aries, hey, or yeah, Venus moving into Aries, out of, be passionate. Do it out of love, but don't get yourself stuck, because that's where, things fall apart with all those planets still up in Pisces. Um, I know I'm rambling a bit, and I'll get off of here, but it's one of those things that I have so many words. There's so many words. There are so many feelings. I have so much that I want to say, and I can't get it all out the way that I want to, especially not here on this platform. So I would just encourage each and every one of you to pair up with your strengths. By that, I mean in your community, in your collective, in your people, in your group of people. Um, you know, you're going to have to learn to become comfortable with asking others for help. Um, Virgo really doesn't like that. Virgo South Node does not like that. But Gemini, Jupiter Gemini energy is very much third house, talking about your immediate environment, your locality. It's whew, it very much does speak to supply and demand. Um, you know, uh, Purchasing things. I see it as exchanges, right? So if you know somebody that has a garden or knows how to garden, reach out if you're interested. There's going to be things that are going to be changing with Uranus being at the end degrees of Taurus, that you can see. You can see, with the news of, oh, we're going to do tariffs, oh, we're going to not do tariffs, oh, we're going to, deport all these people who worked our farms and stuff. It goes on to aiding in an overall change in how we get our needs met, right? What do we do when there's no produce at the grocery store? What do we do when there's, you know, there's not this part for our car, or there's not this, it does very much speak to needing to reevaluate how we fit our needs, how we fill our needs. What people do we have in our circle? What resources? That's very Taurus. What resources do we have that we can share with others? And what do they have that maybe they can share with us? Oh, Tommy down the street works on vehicles. Oh, yeah, really? Well, Joe over there is a plumber. Well, okay. Well, let's get to know them. Take action. Get to know what options are available to you. And if you don't have many, start getting yourself out there. Jupiter and Gemini loves to talk, but again, it loves to oversell too. So, if anything seems too good to be true, listen to your intuition. That all goes back to North Node and Pisces. Very much let yourself be guided by your intuition, not dreams or just illusions, but very much, you'll know. It'll hit and it'll fit perfect. Okay. So, anyways, the less that you can rely, I guess the point what I was getting at was the less that you can rely on the government to fulfill your needs, the less that you can rely on corporations to fill your needs, the less that you can rely on knowing everything and how everything's going to go and how everything's going to pan out, let go of that need. It's not a need. It's going to make you sick. So, anyways, you all, I really have to go. I have stuff I've got to do, but I really sincerely from the bottom of my heart, I have so many feelings about what's happening going on. My Aquarius moon, every single bit of me wants to get up and, you know, tear the walls down and, wake people up. But the reality is no matter what side you're on, left, right, middle of the road, far left, far right, we're all being lied to. All of us. It's very important to understand that. That's where the humbleness comes in. You know, stay humble. Although we may think we know everything, it's only what we've been allowed to know, right? So look within, keep that long vision peering out, stay true to yourself, true to your people, and true to your causes. Love you guys unapologetically. Keep fucking shining your lights.